I want to welcome Dr. John Yakov Guterson to the Radically Genuine podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Roger McFillin. Hello, hello.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you here.
It's an honor to be here.
Doc, you reached out to me. Let's just start with that story because you wanted to talk about the fact that we actually have souls. And so tell me a little bit about how you found out about my work in the Radically Genuine podcast.
I have a patient I've had for quite a while. Obviously, won't say any names, but she came across an article that you read. And since she knows me well, she thought this would resonate with me. And I read the article and I was so impressed. I love the fact that you said 100 years from now, they're going to look back on today and see what stupidity we had. And the whole thing was a scam. And while I may not say 100% a scam, I would probably say maybe 90% a scam. And I wholeheartedly agreed. And I said, wow, this is really, really interesting stuff. So I sent you an email and here we are. You kindly invited me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Let's just start with your background and the type of work that you're currently doing, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. To make a long story short, I grew up in Seattle, Washington, went to high school there, went to the University of Washington, where I majored actually in history and took a little bit of pre-med during that time. Thereafter, I took a Greyhound bus across the country, went to Boston, and was fortunate to be a history teacher and a basketball coach, which I loved. I was a basketball player back in the good old high school days. Thereafter, or during that time, I was thinking, what else would I like to do? And I became more connected to my Jewish heritage. And that was a key factor. Went to Israel for a period of time and suddenly became very interested in knowing more about the creation of the world, the creation of the human being. I'm more interested in biology and chemistry, even though I wasn't phenomenally natural for that. I was more of a history, humanities kind of guy. I went back, finished pre-med, got good grades, and got accepted to the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, where I went for 4 years. Was always interested in what is the meaning of life from the time I was a kid. What are we here for? Always asking the big questions. It was the way I was raised. It was what my parents instilled in me and my siblings. What's really important in life? And so what really fascinated me was psychiatry. I also love kids, and so I actually did a little bit of pediatrics and got sort of bored, to be blunt, looking in the ears of babies. It's obviously incredibly important, but it wasn't my genre, my excitement. And so I went into psychiatry and was extremely fortunate to be accepted to the Western Psychiatric Institute and Clinic located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It was a top-notch program. It was exactly many things that you are against. It was extremely scientific and research-oriented. I think for years it was the top research psychiatry program in the entire world, getting more money than anywhere else. And I started asking questions. I said, wait a second, this is all interesting. I'm learning about neurons and biology and the basal ganglia and all these things, but how about the soul? And people looked at me like I was a little bit from outer space, and nobody really gave me sufficient answers. After residency, I love the drama of the, I don't mean to demean it, but the cuckoo's nest, if we can use such a term, the psychiatric ward. And that's where I turned. And I quickly became the medical director of a couple of psychiatric hospitals here in Pittsburgh. And I loved it. I loved the drama of it. And at the same time, I started an office practice and started seeing patients there. But I always emphasized, whenever I met with somebody, whenever I meet with anybody the first time, I always ask them the question, I start off with, what is your purpose? What is your mission? Rather than just beginning with symptoms and all that. I never jump to medication. So all the kinds of things that you brought up in your article totally touched me on a very, very palpable level, and I've been doing it ever since. And my patients seem to love it. I would say not everybody, of course, but they seem to really, really like that approach quite a bit. So, in a nutshell, that's the way it went.
I'm intrigued by that first question for patients because you're using language that I use. For example, mission. I actually see myself, my soul here has a mission. How do people respond? Why do you ask that question, for one, and the range of answers that you receive?
I ask that question because I think it's a good entree into the idea of the soul that we all have. We all have a soul. All have a yearning for transcendence. That's what makes us human beings. And so I believe that for a healthy life, and it's talked about by Stephen Covey in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that it starts inside then outside. And he always says, begin with the end in mind is one of those habits. And so if you have a purpose, if you know why you're here on planet Earth, then you want every moment of your life to be connected to what that purpose is. Directly, maybe indirectly, you need times of rest and relaxation, but that rest and relaxation is for the purpose of connecting with what you ultimately want to do. The responses I get are interesting. Wow, that's a really good question. I never really thought about that before. I don't know what my purpose is. Maybe, Dr. Guterson, you can help me. Some people say to be happy. Of course, then I ask them, what does that mean? What does being happy mean? Some people say, to help people. So I get a range of responses, but most of the time people actually do say, I never really thought about that. And it amazes me. They wake up every morning and what are they thinking about? And
It's it's
totally amazes
interesting
me.
because that exact question is what consumes my mind. So the fact that somebody may not be thinking about that is certainly curious to me.